Hope you're having a wonderful day. Let me get our verses lined up here. Alright, we're still in the book of Matthew, chapter 12. And we're ready for verses 33. I'm going to read 33 through 37 here. Again, we're just trying to read the Bible, read it in context, understand what's being said and why, and see how we can apply that to us. That's an important thing. I think if we just understand the context, the application itself becomes pretty easy. I'm trying to remind myself to make sure that I talk about that. But in some cases, some things, like unless we're being a Pharisee in our life, I mean, it's obvious that what the application is, such as where Jesus has been talking to the Pharisees here and talking about the kingdom. Satan's kingdom couldn't be divided. He couldn't be casting out devils through Satan. And that's what we need to realize as well, is that, these things, these miracles that Jesus performed, they were of God, definitely. We know that. But we need to see and understand where Jesus came to, enter the strong man's house, basically to bind the devil and to break the power of Satan and his evil cohorts, the other demons. So continuing and talking about this, continuing to talk to the Pharisees, at least that is my understanding, because he was talking to them, and this is still part of that. In verse 33, and this again, book of Matthew, chapter 12, and this is verse 33, either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad, for the tree is known by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you speak good when you are evil? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. The good person out of his good treasure brings forth good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure brings forth evil. I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give account for every careless word they speak. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. This is very strong, and this is very applicable to all of us, even now, definitely. We just have to make sure we understand what's being said here. Jesus starts out with either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad, for the tree is known by its fruit. Well, he's talking about us and our hearts and our spirit. If you think of us as a tree that's growing, we're going to produce either good or bad fruit based on how we are, what comes out of us. So if you are producing good things, I mean, it's going to be obvious, and you will be a good tree, and you will. I'm not making this very plain, and I apologize. I should have made a better statement than that. But nonetheless, what we produce in our lives, the things we produce, how we maybe we produce something good by helping others. Maybe we produce something good by saving others. We save someone, we introduce them to Jesus. Maybe we produce good fruit by, like I said, simply helping others, helping the poor, or by any number of good things that we do. Those are good fruits. That could mean a contribution to a charity. It could mean you help an old person across the street. It could be very simple things. It could be a lot. It could be you pray. You pray for those around you. You pray for your congregation, your family, your friends. You pray for those that are even not nice to you. I mean, those things are good fruits. And there are fruits of the Spirit that are listed. We will get to those. And Lord willing, we will read those and go through those as well. So here, and then in verse 34, Jesus says, you brood of vipers, how can you speak good when you're evil? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. Well, Here again, they're following the letter of the law, when, as we know from our previous sessions, they were conspiring to kill Jesus. So he knew this too, and he knew this was going on. And, he's like, how can you speak good when you're evil? How can you really produce good when you're evil? Yeah, I'm sure that the things they said sounded good, and maybe they looked good according to the letter of the law and how men think, but in their hearts they were not being godly and loving and merciful and caring. And that's what Jesus is getting at. The good person out of his good... I'm moving on, sorry, verse 35. The good person out of his good treasure brings forth good, and evil out of his evil treasure brings forth evil. He's talking about in your heart. How you are in your heart, that's going to show up in your speech and how you act. Yeah, you can hide it somewhat and disguise it somewhat, and you can fake it somewhat, but it's really going to show. If you are playing along, following the letter of something, that's going to show. You're not going to be able to pretend to be good when you're not good, because your fruit will bear you out. People will know you by how you are and how you act and how you talk. And then Jesus says, I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give account for every careless word they speak. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. That's because when our hearts are not in the right place, when we're not in the right place, we will speak evilly. We will say the wrong things. Because if you think about it, if you're thinking something inside, if you're thinking, I wish, something bad would happen to somebody, you're probably going to say it. If you're mad, and that's what happens to us when we're mad sometimes. We think the wrong things because we're mad, and then we say it. And if you're like me, and you do something like that, you just regret it so much afterwards, and it's just not worth it. So it's better to fill your heart with good things, so that even when you're upset, you can produce good things, or just be silent if necessary. And that is definitely a lot better. For we will be justified by our words or condemned by our words, because what we speak out of our hearts, even sometimes when we don't realize it. So that's what Jesus is saying, and we need to be aware of what we're saying and what we're thinking. And if we catch ourselves saying the wrong thing, then we're probably thinking the wrong thing. So, all right. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.